The story opens with a boy who remarks that he's back again, feeling a sense of quiet sadness. As he gazes upward, he sees a floating island shrouded in smoke, a place he refers to as the Smoke Sky Island. The island is filled with dilapidated, Western-style structures, and it seems as though no one has ever lived there. He notices something in the distance, and as he focuses, he sees a human figure. A man's voice calls out, commanding him to come down, stating that he will be waiting. At the edge of the abyss, he suddenly feels a sharp sensation before waking up, drenched in sweat and gasping. He mutters that he can't believe he had that strange dream again. We learn his name is Sora, as someone calls for him to wake up. He mentions that the man in his dream and the abyss itself feel oddly familiar. While brushing his teeth, Sora wipes the mirror and is startled to find his eyes brimming with tears. Wondering if it's due to his recent study sessions, he's interrupted by his dad, who steps out of the shower. His father notices Sora preparing for school and messes with his hair, asking if he overslept. Sora, frustrated, tells him not to. Treat him like a kid as he's already 15. In response, his dad shows off his muscles. Sora grabs the mouthwash and tells his father that if they didn't live in such a cramped apartment, he wouldn't have to see him naked every day. His father laughs, saying once they're rich, he'll get them a bigger house, where Sora and Riku can each have their own rooms. Sora quips that his dad has been saying that for 5 years, and his father laughs again, mentioning that things have gotten easier since Riku joined the self-defense force. Sora reflects on how it's been 3 years since his brother joined the SDF, and wonders when he joins the SDF how things will change. He thinks about the time when he'll have to part from his lively family, his dad, who's always joking and unreliable, and his mom, who may be stern but loves them deeply. He finds comfort in the fact that they're still here, together. Just as they sit down for breakfast, the entire apartment starts to shake violently. They look around in confusion, wondering if it's an earthquake. Sora reflects that he always knew their peaceful life would end one day, but never anticipated that it would end like this. A massive shadow begins to loom over their apartment, building as a towering structure rises from the earth, reaching up into the sky. The tower has arrived, signaling the beginning of humanity's downfall. Sora, stunned, thinks this must be some kind of joke. At that moment, he didn't yet understand how much the emergence of this tower would alter the course of human history. Fighter jets were soon dispatched to investigate, but Sora sensed something deeper. He could feel, in his bones, that this tower was somehow tied to his dreams. We see him speaking on the phone with his brother Riku, who reassures him that everything will be fine. Riku tells him to follow the SDF's instructions and that he'll return home soon. Though his voice is weak, he promises. The family starts to feel the weight of the situation, and Sora reflects that it was that very night when he lost contact with his brother. The news had reassured everyone that as long as people stayed inside, they'd be safe. But soon, broadcasts ceased, and towers began appearing all over the world. The radio began looping the same emergency message: evacuate to shelters. As Sora and his family packed their things, his mother left a note for Riku, explaining where they were going. They set out on their journey, passing through a scene that seemed to carry an ominous message. Military vehicles constantly sped by, their drivers with faces full of despair, their vehicles covered in disturbing markings. The air around them was thick with the stench of decay. His father, unable to contain his fear, asks what in the world is happening. Eventually, they reach the temporary evacuation center, a crowded gymnasium that had become a refuge for those displaced. The shelter was packed with refugees, yet the atmosphere was eerily quiet, as though everyone was simply waiting for the end. Sora's father urges them to keep moving, but even within the heavy silence, some individuals still managed to stir up trouble, doing everything they could to draw attention to themselves. A man grabs a child's hand, demanding that he return his bread. The child, trembling, points to the bread in the man's pocket, explaining that the man already ate his portion. Without warning, the man punches the child in the stomach. As the bystanders ignore the scene, the man laughs after snatching the kid's food, stating that he's still hungry and that it's fine to take the bread. The child, in pain, weakly agrees. The man tells him that until this situation is over, the bread belongs to him. "It'll only be a few days," he says. Dismissively, "It's not like you're going to die." The child begins to sob. But before the situation can escalate further, Sora's father steps in, placing a firm hand on the man's shoulder and asking what he's doing. The man tells him to mind his own business, but Sora's father firmly tells him to give the bread back to the child. The man, furious, pulls back his fist, threatening to shut Sora's father up. Without missing a beat, Sora's dad kicks him in the head, sending the man crashing to the floor. He hands the bread to the child, who thanks him tearfully. The man, humiliated, spits insults at Sora's father, only to be met with a cold, unwavering glare. Realizing he's in no position to do anything, he clicks his tongue in frustration and storms off, muttering that he won't forget this. Sora calls out to his father, but his dad reassures him, saying he'll keep an eye on the man. Sora, feeling shaken, says that he'll never forget that man, even if he dies. It's then that we learn the man's name is Ajikagawa, a despicable bully who tormented Sora throughout his school years, a constant source of misery for him. Suddenly, a man bursts into the shelter, announcing an emergency message. Everyone must exit immediately through the back and board the trucks waiting outside. Civilians begin to murmur in confusion, demanding to know why. The man hesitates, stating that it's confidential, but apologizes for not being able to give further details. The people press him, questioning the situation. First, they won't let anyone leave their homes for 2 days. Then we're all sent here to an evacuation center. And now they won't even tell us what's really going on. One person protests. The man grows frustrated, muttering that he doesn't even know what he's paying his taxes for. Suddenly, strange banging sounds echo through the shelter, and the soldier looks visibly shaken. He urgently tells everyone that they're here and they need to run, fast. A civilian asks what he means, but before anyone can get a clear answer, Sora takes charge, urging his parents toward the exit. He has a terrible feeling about what's coming next. The soldier begins to push against the door, attempting to block it, telling them that he won't be able to hold them off for long. They need to get into the vehicles right now. But before anyone can move, the door is forcefully kicked open, and a group of armored enemies rushes in, slaughtering the soldier in an instant. Their chilling laughter fills the room, drowning out the desperate screams of the civilians. Sora, still stunned, wonders what in the world is happening. As chaos erupts, Sora lags behind, watching as the monsters push further into the room. His parents turn to see him just before they board the truck, their faces filled with worry. The crowd continues to rush, climbing into the back of the trucks as fast as they can. Sora realizes the truck can't hold any more people, and insists his parents get on first as he helps them both climb up. His father grabs onto him, reluctant to leave his son behind, but the others on the truck shout at them to hurry up, saying, "It's already full." Sora quickly realizes they're about to force his parents off, so he decides to make a desperate move. He tells them he'll find another truck and runs off, hoping for a chance. But every truck he approaches is already packed. He tries one after another, only to find them full until he reaches the very last truck. He spots someone else climbing aboard just as he approaches and scrambles to get on himself. As he struggles to pull himself up, someone reaches down to help him. Sora thanks him, but the man laughs coldly, asking if he's really thanking him in the middle of all this. Sora's face pales with fear as he recognizes the person. It's none other than Ajikagawa. He's pleased Sora came here on his own. Sora wonders why it had to be this man of all people. Ajikagawa then coldly throws him off the truck, telling him he should die in his father's place, calling him worthless. As Sora tumbles to the ground, he feels as though it's all over. The crowd of civilians begins trampling over him, and panic fills his thoughts as he desperately whispers that he doesn't want to die yet. Curling into a fetal position, he clutches his head, begging anyone for help. In the midst of the chaos, he sees a shadowy figure standing before him. It's the same man from his dreams. Sora recognizes him instantly. With glowing eyes, the man speaks again, telling him that he will be waiting for him at the edge of the abyss. Sora suddenly wakes up in an unfamiliar place, unsure if what just happened was a dream. More importantly, he wonders where he is now. Before he can make sense of his surroundings, a weapon is raised and strikes the ground right in front of his head. Dread fills his body as he sees a goblin preparing to strike. Sora bolts up, frantically asking where his parents are and why he's alone, fearfully wondering if he's dead and in hell. The goblin lunges, its weapon grazing his cheek. In a panic, Sora spots some debris on the ground but is too terrified to think clearly. Desperately, he realizes he has no choice but to fight. The goblin charges toward him, and Sora runs toward the rocks trying to gather his thoughts. The tower appeared out of nowhere. Ajikagawa had thrown him from the truck, and he had met the strange man from his dreams. Now he's here, facing this monster, and it feels like he's going to be turned into the goblin's next victim, but there's a surge of rage within him. Screaming, Sora grabs the rock and charges at the goblin. The screen cuts away and we hear Sora's voice. He's somehow survived. He catches his breath and looks at the goblin's lifeless body. Up close, he mutters to himself that this feels like something straight out of a video game. He notices strange black text on the goblin's chest, wondering if it's its rank, and sees the Roman numeral I. Suddenly, the ground begins to shake beneath him, throwing Sora into a panic. A black crystal emerges from the goblin's chest, and as Sora watches, he notices that its bones have turned a strange purple. The crystal starts to float out, and Sora feels a strange sensation in his chest. As it floats directly in front of him, it shoots straight through his sternum. A sense of unease washes over him, wondering if this is a bad omen. Then a jolt of lightning arcs across the scar on his cheek. His wounds begin to heal, and Sora notices something even more surprising. He feels stronger, as if his body has been rejuvenated. He begins to wonder if he's leveled up, just like in the games he used to play. Sora picks up the goblin's weapon, thinking to himself that there might be more of these creatures on the island. It's best to scout around to avoid being caught off guard. He travels across the island, eventually completing a full circuit, but finds no monsters or obvious paths to take. He gazes at some ruins in the distance, realizing that if he wants to get out, they might be his only option. Approaching a set of stairs leading down the island's lower levels, he hesitates at the edge, feeling uneasy. It reminds him of the smoky sky islands from his dreams, and he can't shake the feeling that this situation is bad. Stepping down cautiously, he thinks to himself that terrain like this in games is usually crawling with monsters, and there's probably one lurking around the cliff, waiting to ambush him. If this were just a game, he'd respawn, but he doesn't want to test if that's possible here. After carefully descending, Sora finally reaches the bottom and sees an entrance. He approaches it warily, peering inside with caution. There's a lit torch near the entrance, and beneath it, a tablet with unfamiliar characters inscribed on it. As Sora reads the text, he realizes he's never seen characters like this before, yet they seem to be flooding into his mind, as if he understands them instinctively. The message reads, "The fragments belong to the bearers. By acquiring all of them, one shall earn the right to leave the abyss." Sora quickly deduces that he must be in the abyss and that his only way out is to collect all the fragments. A small smile forms on his face as he feels a sense of purpose. Now that he has a goal, he feels more motivated than before. He reflects on how easily he defeated the monster earlier, thinking that if he can handle creatures like that, he's sure he can manage whatever challenges lie ahead. As he moves forward through the gates, a bright light bursts in front of him. He speaks aloud, noting that the first layer of the abyss is about 900 square meters in size, and the monster he fought had the number 1 carved into its body. The second layer measures 1,800 square meters, and one of the monsters he encounters has the number 2 on it. The third layer spans 3,600 square meters, and among the 4 monsters, small snakes, there's one with a number 3. Sora realizes that the fragments are only found in monsters with numbered markings. These fragments are the key to progressing through each layer, and the stronger the monster, the higher the number. While he wishes the sequence was a bit more fleshed out, he understands the mechanics now. But something still nags at him. There's a deeper concern that he can't ignore. The area grows exponentially in size with each layer, just as the number of monsters doubles every time he ascends. Sora continues to grow stronger with each stage, killing monsters left and right. He's not just surviving, he's getting better with every fight. On the latest floor, he slams his fist into the back of a giant monster's head, taking it down. As he progresses, the variety of monsters becomes increasingly diverse, with each new layer bringing even more challenges. On the 12th floor, he faces the same monsters that attacked the shelter, but now they're no match for him. He destroys them with ease, and as the number of enemies increases, his senses start to dull from the overwhelming scale of the battles. By the time he reaches the 13th layer, there are 4,000 monsters, and the numbers only grow from there. The 14th layer holds 16,000 monsters. The 21st layer reaches over 1 million, and by the 30th floor, the number of enemies skyrockets to 500 million. Finding the key among them feels like searching for a needle in a haystack, but Sora is relentless. With every monster he slays, he gets closer to his goal. Some of the key-bearing monsters are guarded by groups of others, while others hide in caves, but no matter what, he rips through them all. The time it takes to eliminate each enemy starts to weigh on him, but he keeps pushing forward. He leaps into battle, fighting enormous beasts and a terrifying giant demon centipede. His conquest continues as he moves through each floor, leaving no monster behind, because he has no choice but to keep going. When he reaches the 42nd floor, the number of monsters has reached over 2 trillion. Sora laughs maniacally, reveling in the madness, and declares that this is exactly what he's been waiting for. The floor is now filled with dragons soaring above, and Sora wonders how much time has passed. But then he realizes that the concept of time is meaningless to him now. All that matters is the constant cycle of death and massacre, and he is the only one left standing. He marks the monsters he's slain on the wall, a grim tally of his progress. Then he hears footsteps and turns to see more monsters approaching. He mutters that the cycle never ends. The monsters charge toward him, trying to kill him, but they're wiped out in seconds. One after another, he clears the floor, gradually making his way deeper into the abyss. With a monster's head in hand, he wonders just how many of these creatures he's killed at this point. But he simply decides to keep marking them down, knowing that he must be getting closer to the key. Suddenly, his chalkboard is destroyed by debris, scattering around him. A massive centipede emerges from the debris, and Sora comments that it certainly knows how to make an entrance. He wonders aloud if this creature could be the key. As it attacks, he leaps into action, shattering the sound barrier as he dashes away. With ease, he tears the creature apart in a single move. He reflects that even the monsters who think they're powerful are no match for him, falling in a single blow without him even trying. Power holds no meaning to him anymore. Time, strength, all of it is irrelevant. The monsters haven't scaled up to his level, and Sora, frustrated, demands that the key show itself. He's tired of this, and he's had enough. He wonders how many of the trillion monsters he's already slain. Meanwhile, we get a flashback to the day when 20 towers suddenly appeared across the world. Before humanity could even process what was happening, monsters poured out and nearly eradicated civilization. Most people were slaughtered that day, which would go down in history as Judgment Day. A small group of survivors gained the ability to access a mysterious system after the chaos, awakening with powerful combat stats. Those who awakened were granted extraordinary abilities, and society began to rebuild itself. Eventually, the first of the awakened formed the Hunters' Guilds, leading to a new era. But for now, the focus shifts back to Sora, who is chasing a wolf, telling it to wait as he tries to examine something on it. Suddenly, he's taken aback as chains appear, wrapping around the wolf. A voice calls out explaining that an advanced transfer scroll has been used, and they can't allow the summon to proceed. Sora recognizes the voice. It belongs to a human. He watches in shock as the wolf floats into the air toward a glowing magic circle. Sora wonders if this could be an exit. He quickly realizes that if it is, it might be his only way out. Without hesitation, he crouches down and launches himself upward, chasing after the wolf. The voice warns him repeatedly that a Beacel summoning can only transfer 2 living beings at a time. Sora, undeterred, declares that no one will stop him, locking his focus on the wolf and dashing straight toward it. The scene shifts to Earth, where we find a girl in a graveyard, panicked and running for her life. She curses her decision to wear heels and struggles to get rid of them as she runs. This is Yusunazaki, and her foot gets caught in a vine, sending her tumbling face first into the dirt with a scream. She curses again, wondering why she's still wearing heels. Nervously sweating, she realizes the danger she's in. A voice calls out, stating that it's a hassle and demanding she hand over the advanced transfer scroll. Yika, a druid at level 34, and Choji, a level 35 swordsman, stand before her, and the latter warns her to give up the scroll, or there will be no mercy. Yika adds that a level 60 scroll is far too much for a level 19 like her to handle. Yusunazaki protests, claiming that hunter-on-hunter combat is against the rules, but Choji scoffs and asks what she means by rules, licking his lips in anticipation. He thrusts his sword near her face, telling her to hand over the scroll if she wants to keep her limbs. Desperate, she warns them not to corner her further. Yika, sensing what she plans to do, shouts for them to stop her before she can use the summon scroll. Choji, enraged, calls Yusunazaki a bitch and swings his sword at her, demanding that she hand over the scroll. However, his sword only strikes the ground as she teleports away just in time. Yusunazaki mutters that if she's going to die, she might as well take them down with her, and she begins activating the scroll. The others gasp, realizing it's a forced summon. Yika, worried, explains that no one can control an advanced monster summoned this way. This is a disaster waiting to happen. Despite their efforts to stop her, Yusunazaki declares that they're all going to die together. Lightning begins to crackle in the sky, swirling downward and striking the ground, opening a rift for the summon. As the beam intensifies, they begin to sweat nervously, sensing that things are about to go terribly wrong. Suddenly, chains from the abyss flash into the ground, signaling that the summon has begun. They exhale in relief, recognizing the monster as a level 3 Cerberus. Laughing, they mock their earlier fear, calling the monster cute and tossing it a bone. But Yusunazaki, baffled, wonders why this is all that came out of her summon scroll. Just then, a massive hand bursts through the rift, and Sora appears, ripping the Cerberus in half and sending its remains flying. The group is left in shock, realizing that Sora is a humanoid monster. Yusunazaki looks up in fear, and Sora, grinning, wildly announces that he's finally made it out. Sora laughs maniacally, shouting that he can't believe he actually escaped the abyss. The others freeze in place, unnerved by his laughter. Shushi shudders, saying that just hearing it made his body freeze, while Yika demands to know who Sora is, feeling the intense pressure from his presence. Sora notices Yusunazaki, and before anyone can react, he dashes toward her with incredible speed, leaving behind after images. He grins as he looks down at her, then grabs her by the shoulders, asking if this is Earth. She confirms it is, and he exclaims that he's finally returned. He then asks if they're all cosplayers or something, and in response they charge at him, claiming that they are members of the Tiger's Roar Guild and threatening to attack him. Shuchi and Choji strike at Sora, but their blades break instantly as they make contact with his back. Sora, now visibly angry, turns to face them, and Shuchi calls him a monster. As the word monster echoes in Sora's mind, he envisions Shuchi as an orc and grabs him by the throat, demanding to see his ID number. Confused, Shuchi asks what he's talking about, and Sora snaps back to reality, realizing his mistake and letting him go. Shuchi, now terrified, screams and, in his fear, even wets himself. The rest of the group rushes over, and it becomes clear that Shuchi is their leader. Sora dismisses them, telling them all to get lost, adding that one of them was a useless rogue. For some reason, he lets them go without further conflict, and Shuchi delivers the cliché threat, I'll remember this. Yusunazaki, still shaken, remarks on Sora's incredible power but notes the visible scars on his body. She wonders who he is, stating that he can't be a monster summoned by her scroll. Sora asks how many years have passed since the towers first appeared. Panicked, Yusunazaki replies that it's been 5 years. He then asks if this is truly Earth and what kind of scroll she used, also questioning her strange attire. Yusunazaki explains that since the towers arrived, a system emerged for humans, and that's how they ended up in this situation. Sora, astounded, asks if the world has really changed this much in the 5 years he's spent in the abyss. She tells him that S-City was hit by the 7th large invasion, and she had to flee from there. Sora's expression turns somber as he says that S-City is where he was born. He asks what the situation is like now. Yusunazaki hesitates, then informs him that the city has been completely destroyed, but strong individuals have been sent there to deal with the monsters, so there's hope that the city may eventually be cleared. Sora asks how he can get to the city from where they are now, and Yusunazaki points him in the direction. Without hesitation, he takes off, leaving her in disbelief that he's going alone. She mutters to herself that he's such a mysterious man, and she should tell her sister. She'd probably know that he's one of the top guild masters. The scene then shifts to a third-rate villain gang, where something lands with a loud crash, shaking the ground. They ask who this new figure is, and someone says they can feel the presence of this person on all of them. He warns them that they have only 3 seconds to reveal who they are. Fear takes over the group, but for some reason, Shisuya arrogantly asks if the newcomer is serious. This guy clearly has no brain. Before they can react, the entire gang is torn apart in an instant. The scene cuts to their guild headquarters, where a woman reports that there has been no sign of life from the 4 members of the party, and the whereabouts of Yusunazaki and the scroll are unknown. A man, furious, calls her useless and shatters his wine glass in anger. He can't believe that the men she recommended couldn't even defeat a level 19 summoner. The fact that all their signals went out at once makes him realize that they were all killed in one hit. He introduces himself as Rick Mukai, a level 118, and orders someone else to investigate who did it and capture Yusunazaki to make her explain. He warns them that anyone who lays a hand on his men will die. As Mukai issues his orders, he spots Sora leaping past his window. Intrigued, he notes the incredible smell of blood and wonders who this person is. Sora is heading toward the fallen zone, and Mukai senses that this invasion is unlike anything before. He believes big forces are at play, and the tower that had been dormant for 5 years is finally starting to move. He quickly commands all his search parties to fall back, declaring an emergency. Meanwhile, Sora arrives at the city, now a desolate ruin. He reflects on how, in the 5 years he spent trapped in the abyss, this place has turned into hell. Back in the abyss, he had been weak, struggling against goblins, but with each passing floor, he grew stronger. He'd become numb to the horrors, nearly turning into a beast himself as he devoured the monsters he killed. But through it all, the thought of his family kept him going. The monsters he once feared are now insignificant, and he hopes at the very least his family is safe.